So this is the SF 181 form. I was first introduced to this form back in November of 2017 by a coworker, Unaduti Ade Digatoga, and we were discussing at that time. I was leaning toward the Moors and those IDs and that type of thing, and then he explained to me that it was all about fiat misnomer money, and that's the only thing that they wanted, and when you try to contact someone you can do it. And he goes to tell me that I should start the indigenous standing process, and I should start calling myself white and no longer call myself black. And I didn't have a problem not calling myself black because for a while I had been identifying on applications and things of that nature with American Indian, because forever my family has been in the same area. So my grandmother, she's not so far as to calling herself black, but she'll tell you in a minute that we have never been to Africa. So I was just never comfortable with the term black. It just never sat right with me. But when he told me that I need to start calling myself white, of course I asked him to explain. So he was like, and he pulled his paper out of his pocket, and just so you know, here's my paper. And like I said, I identify as American Indian and white. And the definition of white is a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa. And what I did not know, but I know now, is that Europe is named after an Ethiopian princess by the name of Europa. The Middle East is just Northeast Africa because there's just a Bering Strait, and then you're right there to all that land, and they're still connected. There's nothing that makes them separated, so to speak. And North Africa, of course, is where Egypt is. So he explained that to me, and then we started talking more, and he was telling me about Chief Nanya Shabuel, and that's how you do the indigenous standing process, and there are steps that you have to take to claim your standing being indigenous, and to change your status, as in your commercial status, meaning how do you identify in the commercial world, because the United States is a corporation, it's not a country. So this form, what it has to do with is basically how you contract. It doesn't have anything to do with the color of your skin, so to speak. So when all of that was revealed to me, it made even more sense, and I felt basically a sense of relief because I had a choice now. How did I want to contract? How did I want to proceed? How did I want to go further? And I didn't have to identify with something that I had no attachment with, which was black or African American. And once I further looked into the form myself, I was able to look at the definitions, and basically they all start off the same way: a person having origins in any of the original peoples, and then it describes a continent or a certain area. Like, let's see, American Indian, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of North and South America, including Central America and Asian, a person having origins in any of the original people Far East. And then all of these are succinct except for black, a person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. And I thought that was weird because we know that based on skin color, all the original people look like me, they have melanin. But for some reason, this form says that a black person, is a person who does not have, is not even original peoples. They are black racial groups of Africa, And that's a problem because if you go to Africa and you speak with the people there, they do not identify as black racial groups. They identify as tribes and they identify as clans. So in essence, black or an African American person doesn't exist. So I felt like this form was, I'm trying not to sound cliche or anything, but I feel like this form was a gift. I feel like this form is the key that you need to set yourself free. And that's basically what it's done for me. That's what it's done for my tribe. That's what it's done for my offspring. We all identify as white. We tell everyone to identify as white. Of course, we get a side eye, but that's expected. But back to the form. The SF stands for Standard Form. The SF 181 is not only a legal form, but it's also an international form. And like I said, it's tied to your social security number. And you should know that when something is tied to your social security number, that's tied to basically everything that you're tied to. But like I was saying, it's an international form. It's a legal document. And on the plus side, for melanated people, it's an acknowledgement of identity theft that's been committed on Nubians in the Western Hemisphere and worldwide. It's also evidence of the genocide, the apartheid, the rape, the trafficking in human cargo, the crimes against humanity, human infanticide. It's just, the list goes on and on. We all know what happens to people that are melanated but choose to identify as black. So if you had a choice, which you do, not if you have a choice, but you have a choice, then you should identify as white. And because this is an international document, the definitions are on everywhere. Because this is the IPEDS and it's the, I can't remember what it stands for, but as you can see, they have the same definitions: American Indian, Asian, Black or African American, Native American, and white. And the person that you should contact for this form is the United States Department of Education. So it doesn't get any plainer than that. And not only that form, it's on the census that's coming up. And like I said, same definitions. And they even put white at the top. White, Black, American Indian, Asian, and Native American. And what they do, they go as so far as to tell you an individual's response to the race question is based upon self-identification. And they don't say that once, they say that more than once. And even in the last sentence, if a respondent identifies as Asian and white, they may respond to the question on race by checking the appropriate boxes. I identify as American Indian white, and that's perfectly fine. And then once more on this one, I believe it's this one. Yeah. It says categories developed in 1997. I'm sorry, I'm not using the camera. Categories developed in 1997 by the Office of Management and Budget, that's who produced the SF-181, that are used to describe groups to which individuals belong, identify with, or belong in the eyes of the community. The categories do not denote scientific definitions of anthropological origins. That means it is not talking about your origins, your skin color, where you came from, your tribe, your ancestry. It is not talking about that. So, as we all know, the United States is a corporation. It is not a country. So if you can, then you should identify as white, because this is one of my favorite videos. I'm trying to cue it to the right spot. I hope this is it.
Illinois did. But the territories which belong to the whole country, slavery is a right to go there. The second principle put down by Chief Justice Taney in the Dred Scott decision was that blacks cannot be citizens of the United States. In a sense, Dred Scott can't even sue because he's not an American. This is one of the best examples of this notion of blacks as aliens. Even though he's born here and everything, he is not an American. The American family, as Taney says, is for white people. And in the most famous sentence in that decision, he says, a black man has no rights which a white man is bound to respect. Now, he's not saying blacks can be killed with impunity. What he's saying is, legally speaking, they are not part of the body politic. They are not part of the we the people that created the Constitution, and therefore they're just outside of the system. So they don't have any rights under the Constitution because the Constitution is for white people.
And he doesn't have to say that black people can be killed with impunity because it happens every day, and that's why nothing happens, because black people are viewed as slaves, they're viewed as chattel property, and you can't hurt what's not considered human, and that's what happens when you identify as black. So, if this form sounds like something that you would be interested in, I suggest that you contact Chief Nanya Shabuel of the Otsakata Nation of Yamasee Moors. They are recognized by 2 academic scholars for UPR submissions. They are recognized as stakeholders. They are listed as UN stakeholders, and they have been participating in United Nations sessions for a while. They participated in the 8th session on minority issues. They're accredited. They're real. This forum is real. It's going to be here with or without you. It's going to be used with or without you. So why not use it to your advantage? Because unfortunately, if you don't fill out this form, then employers or whatever you're doing, they can make a visual determination and they can decide that you're whatever they say you are. So again, you should contact the Otsakata Nation of Yamasee Moors. The head of administration is Saset Tarawet, and her email address is otsakataym@gmail.com. That's ATSIKHATAYM@gmail.com, and they meet every Monday at 7 Eastern Standard Time until they help you fill out this form as well as other forms. And do yourself a favor and contact them and fill out this form. Hotep.